Okay.
So we're live here today at the Headwaters of the Comal Nature Center, and we're running. My name is James Hill, and this is
Mindy Bodine.
and we're running the excavations out here at 41 CM 204, a multi-component, deeply stratified prehistoric habitation site along the Comal River, which is right over here, and Bleeder Creek, right here. And briefly, we wanted to just kind of walk you around the site and show you a few what we've encountered so far in our excavations today. And if you look behind us, we have this is one of our excavation blocks, Block C. It's as you can see, been inundated by water over the course of the last several weeks, unfortunately.
And we had one more blast of rain yesterday afternoon, Halloween night, and so our excavation blocks are a little bit flooded at the moment. But they should clear out in the next day or two, and we'll be able to take off the tarps and open things up and get back to digging. This Block C is really particularly interesting. Unfortunately, you can't see it at the moment, but because we are finding lots, not just one, not just two, but so far we have three burned rock hearths that we've uncovered right at the very top of our excavation blocks, at excavation levels, and they all seem to be sort of at one. It was higher, and then we have the other two that seem to be about the same height. So we're just uncovered those right before the rains came, and we're going to be super excited about getting the tarps back off, cleaning those up again, and being able to show the relationship between those two hearths. A hearth, one of the features that we're finding a lot here at the site, is a circular collection of rocks, burned rocks, that were used as a cooking surface by prehistoric peoples. And the cooking surface was kind of a fire that they put rocks in to get really, really hot. It can hold the heat, contain it, and then they would cook their food on top of that. It's like an oven or a stove. It'd be like a stovetop.
Yeah, we're particularly lucky here at the Comal site to have these, like as Mindy was alluding to, these burnt rock features that are in such good shape. You don't see these very often, let alone three, potentially fourth one that we have that we're working on uncovering here as soon as the blocks get drained out. So that's really interesting. We've got a bunch of diagnostics we've uncovered so far in them, and Block C has been a very productive block, and we feel like it's going to definitely take us into a much more expanding of the Central Texas cultural history for this area.
All right, should we go take a walk?
So let's take a walk. We're gonna walk over here to another excavation block that we have, Block D, and in it, unfortunately, it's also covered underwater. But you can see a different type of bird rock feature than we're encountering over here. We have the circular hearths here, Block D, large bird rock middens. They are kind of a collection of bird rock over many, many thousands of years that kind of get collected into one area and sort of piled up. And over here, we're just starting to come down on it, and it's very interesting because you can kind of see the midden taking shape. We have 8 units open, and we're going to continue to hopefully go down farther and really get a good glimpse as to what is happening.
To get a sense of the size of these burn rock middens, we have 8 units, which is basically a 2-meter wide by 4-meter long hole that's opened up at the moment. And that burn rock covers the entire thing. And we are just going to sort of, we haven't determined whether or not, how thick that burn rock midden is, but there's some that can be very thick.
So here, fortunately, our tarps are holding well. In an ideal world, we would have the tarps off, obviously the water out, and this canopy here, which is a shade tent, open, and we would excavate underneath it, and you can really get a glimpse of the burn rock. We've already had 6 projectile points come out of the midden so far. Most of them date to the late prehistoric transitional archaic period, which are, they would be what we would refer to as atlatl dart points. And most of them have been broken and discarded, sort of kind of what the nature of a burn rock midden is.
Yeah. The midden itself isn't just the discarded burned rocks from the cooking hearths and other cooking features, but also the rest of their trash. So animal bone is in here very prevalent. If there's any broken tools or points or lithic debris, the discarded shards of shirt that they were sort of carved off when they were making their stone tools, all end up in one place. And that's one of the great ways that we can date these sorts of features, is to be able to sort of identify debris that's mixed in with all these burned rocks, and sort of use radiocarbon dates, charcoal samples, in addition to projectile points that we can identify to be able to date this kind of feature.
Yeah, and what's also really unique about this site, we have all this great prehistoric archaeology, but if you look over here, we also have these two stone buildings here. Our architecture from the
1930s.
Yeah, 1930s.
The CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps.
Yeah, WP era, and so it's really cool because you can really see in one little glimpse here, architecture. This site has been inhabited for thousands and thousands of years. These are the original wells that were dug in New Braunfels historically. That would have, been the original founders of the city's water source. And and then just right below it, you have all these cool prehistoric stuff all around it, and it's a really unique opportunity to get to work around such a cool and interesting site.
Shall we walk around?
Yeah, let's go head back that way. Yeah.
So you can get a sense as to one of the difficulties with excavating at this particular site is this, which is our the runoff from all the extra water. We've been having a lot of rain this year, and then the rain is, we're getting the runoff from the top of the buildings, and the soil is pretty dense, so it rains very slowly.
Yeah, it's definitely been a battle with the rains and water, and it's kind of one of the unique challenges that archaeologists face. All summer it rained an inch. I think in 4 months, and we've had 11 or 12 inches so far since the month of September, right when we kicked off our excavation.
Cool.
So
we're doing our very best to avoid the heat of the summer, and we ended up with the rain. So unfortunately, the soils here have a very high clay content, which when it does rain, all from personal experience, the soil gets really slick.
It's hard to. Nancy says it's hard to hear with the wind.
And sticky, so the bottom of the soil.
So we're walking over here to the rest of our excavation block. So as part of the planned excavation in 41 CM204,
Especially mending.
we're hoping to open up 6 to 7 blocks. And those are the first two over here. Those are the most kind of in danger of flooding out. So we're trying to get them excavated out as soon as possible. But over here, you can kind of see we've got our crew working over here, and these are going to be several of our other excavation blocks that we'll continue to.
And also, right here to my left is our lab. So inside this building here is our archaeology lab. So since you want to take a quick
Yeah, we can.
since it's a large-scale excavation, we need to sort of process all the artifacts that we collect very quickly, because we're collecting a tremendous amount of cultural material, artifacts, and so it's a lot easier for us to process them here in this field lab as opposed to taking them back to the office and processing them there. And by processing, I basically mean that we log everything in, then our lab team will grab the artifacts, count them, weigh them, clean them, organize them, and put them in a database to track them. And then we use that information to do our analysis after we're done getting out of the field.
Yeah, and over here we have Dr. Catherine Cycle. She's our lab director for Amatera Environmental. And as you can see, her and Mark Simon, lab technician with Texas State University, are over here cleaning some of the artifacts that we've uncovered in our excavations so far. And Mark's got kind of a great couple of examples out here that we've uncovered recently in our excavation blocks. So this is a triangular tool that we think possibly was resharpened from a larger atlatl dart point, and over the years was potentially reworked into some sort of other tool. And over here we have what also appears to be a late archaic dart point, or potentially some sort of hafted knife blade or something like that. And this was recovered out of the Bergenbach midden in Block D. So yeah, this is kind of.
Yep. And then here's an example of the lithic debris I was talking about earlier. So when they make tools that look like this, they start with a rock that's, like a river cobble. And they have, like a sculptor, they need to whittle away all the extra rock to turn it into the form and the shape that they want it to be. And so the debris, the cast-offs, are all of this stuff right here. And you can still see some of the cortex on the outside. That's what this white stuff is. And then if it's sort of has no cortex on the outside, we know that this is when they're starting to get into the more fine working. And so you can see some of the flicks are really quite small. So all those tiny little divots along the side of the point is basically resulting from taking tiny little flakes off like that. And so we find, as you might imagine, a lot more of this than this. This is the final, or close to the final form. This is, you could have hundreds and hundreds of these to produce one of those. So we can, we know that we hit a cultural zone when we're finding a lot of that.
Yeah, and back to the projectile points, they kind of serve as sort of temporal markers for us or diagnostics, and we use those a lot to date the site in absence or in unison with carbon-14 charcoal sampling, radiocarbon dating. And so we're finding a lot of this material. We've only been excavating out here, I think, for 6 days to date, and we've already uncovered a wide variety of material and artifacts out here. And so we're going to continue our tour over to our main excavation block.
Block A. Right here is our block B. Josh and I were out here the very first day and carving off the pavement on top of this block, and to be able to sort of set up the excavation area. And then it rained and it flooded, and this is one of the few areas that it doesn't drain very well. So it floods and floods and floods and floods. And so we decided that we were just going to hold off until we find some sort of protection for it before we open up excavation units inside this hole. So the hole itself is not what we're excavating. We just excavated off the fill material from the pavement and the base that was underneath it. And then what's underneath the water right now is what we're going to be starting our excavation blocks digging into. And when we go to block A, there's a slightly different scenario. We started right at the ground because there wasn't any of this. So we started at ground level here. We had to excavate the modern fill material outward. And then it was the same with block C and a portion of block B. Let's go ahead and move through here.
Over here we have the majority of the field crew. There's a wide variety this is the dirt we've excavated out from the units.
So here in block A, we have set up a 4 meter by 4 meter block. So it's a giant square. And then to help space things out, we're starting with each of the 4 corners. Excavating out and down into each of the 4 corners, and then we'll kind of move in as we go. this excavation block, the top layers are still kind of modern material, sort of, and by modern we mean like something that's like into the hundreds of years old, maybe to 1,000-ish years old. And we're looking for the material that's older than that. So we need to sort of get through the modern stuff, and then we're going to be sort of getting into the soil depths that were deposited here thousands of years ago, and then see if we find any culture material that is present in any of those soils underneath the modern stuff.
Yeah, if you want, we'd like to show you one of our excavation blocks. So this is Texas State archaeologist Brian Heisinger. He's a graduate student here at Texas State who's we've paired up with on our project to sort of get the local universities involved and do a little bit more kind of outreach with local institutions. And Brian here is excavating in what we call a 1x1, which refers to a 1x1 meter test unit. These are our standard excavation blocks. We dig them down in 10 centimeter increments, which for everybody outside of
kind of like in the it's about like this. This is about a 10 centimeter. It's about a little bit over 3 inches.
And so yeah, like Brian is just now coming down. So he's about a 60 centimeters, so roughly 1.5 feet or so down below surface here. And what he's starting to get into is the first levels of prehistoric occupation that we think are out here at the site. And he's gone down, like Mindy was referring to, the kind of the upper last 100, 200 years worth of archaeological record, which we think is largely related to the old house that's located. You can't really see it from here, but it's located out here. That's the
foundation right there.
Yep. And that would have been what we think of as the caretaker's home of the fish pond that would have been located on the other side of the buildings here historically.
And that was in the 30s, right?
I believe so. Yeah, 30s to 40s. Yeah. So yeah. So these guys are hard at work. This is, as you can see, a very manual, laborious activity, and kind of it's a slow process, but it gets us the data that we really want to get out of here.
So what they do is sort of once they collect the dirt in these buckets here, the buckets go over to the screeners and we pass by. Then they dump the bucket into the screen, and then they sort through all the dirt to be able to find all those artifacts that we saw in the lab. So they pick all the artifacts out of that dirt, not only the stone tool debris, but also bits of bone, bits of shell, and sometimes they'll find a radiocarbon, a carbon sample, which is basically, if you think of your campfire and when everything's all burned down to ash, sometimes you have tiny little bits of dark charcoal. Sometimes we'll find that either in the unit or in the screen, and we'll collect that for radiocarbon dating. And so they'll collect everything inside the buckets, and then the buckets get sorted and out, and then everything gets moved to the lab, and then the lab will take it from there.
Yeah, and finally over here, we want to show you sort of kind of the highlights of a few things that we've recovered out here in our 2-month plus of excavation out of the site.
So these are excavations, like Josh said, has only been we've been running these large scale excavations for only about 6 working days. We've sort of had some rain delays, and so we've been out here for 3 weeks, but we've had 6 long, working days long. But some of the work that we've done out here previously was monitoring when there was some trenching going on here. So a lot of the artifacts that you see here on this table are artifacts that we recovered during that trenching period. So this is kind of what gave us the clue that this was a very historically significant, multi-component, deeply buried archaeological site, is to find artifacts of this caliber coming just through excavating out trenches.
And so, what's very interesting about this site, one of one of the major reasons we're out here excavating is we have a large variety spanning many, many thousands of years of prehistoric artifacts. And really quickly, I wanted to just compare 2 points that we've recovered out here. These 2 points I'm holding in my hand represent about a 10,000 year period worth of occupation of the site. You have a very large, what we are referring to as a St. Mary's Hall biface. Could have been a spear point, could have been some sort of knife. It's got the kind of the classic Paleo-Indian, what we call late Paleo-Indian characteristics of the parallel oblique flaking, which we know would have been synonymous with the late Paleo-Indian napping style. And right here we have a very good example of an Edwards style bow and arrow point. So this would have been actually fitted onto an arrow and shot. And we know that because it's a lot smaller and a lot thinner than a lot of the other artifacts out here. And then in between, we have just some beautiful examples of some other artifacts recovered from the site. Here we have the distal end of a corner tang knife. These are pretty rare to find in Central Texas. It's very characteristic, or it's very diagnostic with the 2 tangs that kind of come off, and it would have been a much larger tool that we hope to find maybe several more examples of. And then what's also very unique about the site is the preservation of faunal material that we're getting out here. And so we have some deer parts. Deer, I think this is a phalange. And we also have what we've been finding a decent amount of are bison teeth out here. So we would have kind of starting to get the idea that this would have been a pretty big hunting ground out here. I mean, you have the springs in the corner of the site. You also have the Balcones Escarpment, which is really nearby, which you would have had raw material to get. And so long period of drought in Texas, this area would have been continually inhabited because the springs would have been flowing, perpetually year-round.
So not only do we find bone remains of animals that they would hunt and eat, but also animal bones for animals themselves that occupied this area and just lived in this location along, either in conjunction with the people that were living here, like turtles, tortoises, fish, birds. That the bones that they leave were also kind of mixed in with our cultural material, so we get a sense as to the environment that was sort of that was present while the prehistoric peoples were living here. We can sort of take the animals that were also living here. We know biologically what habitats they preferred, and so we can sort of get an inference as to what kind of habitats were, what kind of environment was present, whether or not it was really dry or whether or not it was really wet, from the animals who were also here. Not only the animals that they hunted and ate, but also the animals that were occupying this area as well.
So as we continue here at the Headwaters of Comal, we hope that you all get a chance. We have live tours going Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and we hope everybody has a chance to come out and take a look at the site while we're out here. We'll be out here for the next 4 months, so please get on the website, make an appointment, and come out and see us.
In addition, we'll be also sort of uploading some more YouTube videos as our excavations progress. Not only documenting what we're finding as we're going along through the excavations, but we're also going to take a topic and talk about that topic, sort of explaining the big why questions, why we're out here, what we're studying, what we're planning to be able to get out of all this work that we're putting into the site. We'll be providing some answers to those questions with each YouTube video as they go along. And then in addition, since this is a live broadcast, we'll be able to answer questions if you sort of post to the YouTube live video. We'll be able to answer those questions as they come up, and either we'll either be able to answer questions during the next blog post, or if you want a question answered right away, you can sort of post it immediately.
Every Thursday at 10 o'clock, we'll be broadcasting live here from the site. So please tune in, and we'll be here. Thanks.